Hey ho, my friends, what's going on? I'm back. Let's see if I get any phone calls during this live stream. That was yesterday. I did a live stream and my phone was ringing incessantly. I mean, I'm not even kidding, like 30 times. So I was like totally losing my train of thought. And then finally I'm like, it boots me off my live stream. I'm like, fine. So I answer the call. It's like my 14-year-old's like, hey mom. It had some like question that was not an emergency. I was like, dude, you harshen my vibe on the live stream, which is totally fine. It's all good. So I guess I wasn't meant to deliver that message yesterday. That's all. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm doing this video. Because this is going to be quick too, because I gotta go get the little ones. But I'm telling you now, I just want to get this in here. Man, I have seen some conversations lately about spiritual bypassing, spiritual gaslighting, and spiritual victim blaming, shaming, all the things. And even kind of somewhat related, I did a post a while back saying that autoimmunity is unresolved anger or unhealed anger or undigested anger. This was actually not from me. It was a quote from some sort of a natural healing, holistic healing summit that I subscribed to. It was a doctor or a chiropractor. Someone said, autoimmunity is undigested anger. And I was like, oh my God, my 14-year-old is calling me again. What the hell? Oh my God. Dude. So anyways, so hopefully he won't call 30 times again today. So otherwise, Spirit is definitely telling me to shut the hell up and not even talk about this. So if it happens, oh my God, call number 2. I can't even. Why? What are you doing? You're bypassing my video. Okay, so for real. So I saw an article that was posted on many people's timelines because my news feed's all like woo-woo and coaches and all like cool peeps, right? Talking about written in the Elephant Journal by one of my Facebook friends here that I think she's amazing. I highly respect her work. So this is not a criticism or anything, a critique of the author, okay? She does great work. This is just my personal kind of feeling on all this. And this conversation has happened more than once that I see where people talk about spiritual bypassing, gaslighting, victim blaming, shaming. Anyways, that autoimmunity post, a lot of people, not a lot, I shouldn't say that, let me back up. Some people were upset and said that that quote was shaming people who have chronic illness because saying basically you're somewhat responsible for the condition that you're in. Or you're responsible for your healing journey and the progress of that, when it could be just a genetic thing. A lot of times autoimmunity is genetic, which that's debatable, or whatnot, okay? So, and I kind of did the whole on this. I thought it was interesting how some chose to see it as blaming and shaming, when I took it as very empowering that I could actually have an effect on my own healing. Like my choices, like I had that much responsibility that I could actually change how my healing journey went based on me being very mindful about my choices in my life. I thought that was fucking empowering. Or that I could go back and look at unresolved anger or shame or sadness or anything in my life. I could go back and look at that and actually have an effect on my healing for my chronic illness and autoimmunity. Fuck yeah, I thought that was a great idea. Like, awesome. So it also makes me go like this when I see the shaming discussion when it comes to spirituality and gaslighting and bypassing. Because according to the article that I saw, spiritual bypassing means when you're just all about the positivity. So you're refusing to look at or choosing not to look at any negative emotions that you might have, or not letting yourself feel them, and you're just staying in this like faux positivity. And this article kind of was saying that people in the self-help and in the spiritual industry, probably like coaches, healers, what have you, just kind of like promote this. Like we'll tell people to stay in high vibe only. Like you cannot have any negativity or you will attract all the bad things, right? Or gaslighting means if you had bad situations in your life, you caused them by attracting them, or because of your negativity, or if you're not manifesting what you want in your life, then somehow that's your fault because you're just not high vibing, you're not doing the right things, you don't have the secret, blah, 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 blah. Ugh. And like, I just just like with autoimmunity, I tend to think that if there's ever evidence of the opposite happening, then I don't subscribe to any of this other shit. Like, like for example, this article was talking about needing to look at the trauma and heal and look at and really kind of like really process what you've been through. I agree that it can be beneficial to do that. You can go to a therapist. Is it foolproof? Does it work 100%? Is it the key? I don't think so. Otherwise, I don't think we'd have a lot of have such a high number of prescription medications and things happening. Not always does that work. Because why? And this is where I kind of like, it depends on what type of spiritual practice you have, or what kind of philosophies, or what kind of like underlying spiritual values, or what you believe in. For me, I'm believing that you're supposed to be right where you are, right where we are all along our journey is right where we're supposed to be. There are no mistakes. So I can't bypass. I can't spiritually bypass. I can't be gaslit, because if I'm choosing to think and be positive and just, not feel the negative right now, well, for some reason, that's where I'm at in my journey. That's the consciousness and awareness that I have. So that's what I'm doing. And when the situation, most likely, the universe will hand me a situation that will have me look at the other emotions for sure. If I'm meant to do that, if that's my journey, I could assign, maybe my spiritual journey or my soul's journey was to not see those things, was to not look at the trauma. I don't know. Who am I to say what your soul's journey is or mine? You can have your Akashic records read. You can do all sorts of past life regressions and kind of see, what lessons you've been through, and maybe what lessons you're choosing in this lifetime. I'm choosing to believe we're not all random. We're not placed here randomly, that we actually were a spiritual being that's chose to incarnate in a human body. And we had a clue about what we were here to learn. We kind of requested to learn things. Doesn't mean like, oh, bad things happen and I'm super happy about it. Or like, and I'm not coming from on high and saying, oh, nothing bad ever happened to me, so all these bad things, toughen up, get over it. I've had very traumatic things happen to me. There are many more people in this world who have had much worse happen, but I've had some traumatic things happen. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. It's a real spiritual growth challenge to be able to say, wow, I learned from every experience, and my soul was here to experience that for some reason. And up there, they know the plan. I don't know the plan. That takes a shit ton of faith and a shit ton of belief. But guess what? For me, if I didn't have that, I'd be like this by now. I'd be cray-cray. Because if I just truly believed that, if I just sat in the tragedy and the trauma that happened in my life or around the world, I would probably never leave my room. And this isn't blaming me or shaming me. If I had the consciousness for my own bad choices, if I had the consciousness or awareness to do differently, I would have. I was right where I was at that time, doing what I was meant to do. For the bad things that happened to me, I will process them. I will allow myself to feel the feels and say, that fucking sucked. That sucked. It's not fair. And I'll allow myself to go through it, right? Because we need to, it's okay. It's okay to let those things go through us. It's okay to feel those not okay feelings. Like we definitely live in a culture where we're supposed to, like we're trying not to, we're avoiding those feelings like they're bad or scary, and they're not. Thank God those tides are now turning where people are saying, yeah, it's okay not to be okay. It sure is. But just like with spiritual bypassing on the positive side, I feel like what we have to be aware of is we can do the same thing in the negative. We can bypass in the negative and choose to do this shadow work and stay there and stay in this place of, I'm doing my shadow work, I can't even cope right now, or I'm very like weakened by it, or I'm just very like I don't feel empowered at all. I'm kind of sitting. So you can do the same thing on both ends. And I don't believe that there's any right dose of one or the other that you have to do. Like I've also seen posts on Facebook where it's now it's this movement of, if you're a real true spiritual healer, you have to dive deep into the shadow work. You have to go there and you have to be there and feel it and analyze it. And like, I don't need to re-traumatize myself. And I'm sitting there going, it's good to peel back the layers of the onion. I help my clients do this all the time. If you're going to live an aligned life where you're truly aligned with who you are, That's gonna mean peeling back the old stories, knowing what you choose to focus on now and why. Law of attraction is not, oh, you attract bad, tragic things, or you're not manifesting, you're not doing it right because you're not in the high vibes only. Law of attraction is like attracts like. So and also manifesting is choosing where to put your focus. To me, law of attraction and manifesting is choosing where to put your focus. And if you're choosing to make a change in your life, you don't have to go into like Pollyanna skipping through the roses positivity. It may mean you make one small shift today. Maybe you're a little less anxious than you were yesterday, or it's making a decision to think differently, right? But it doesn't mean you have to go dive into the shadow. Doesn't mean you have to go into the positivity and start throwing confetti. Like, for example, there are people out there who have overcome dire situations and did not have to go back and look at their limiting beliefs and look at the trauma and redo it in order to make change. For example, I just saw the movie Harriet Tubman not long ago, a couple weeks ago. Loved it. Love it. Thank God Harriet Tubman did not choose to revisit her trauma. Thank God she didn't choose she had to do the shadow, or she didn't choose to be in like super, super positivity. She, it wasn't about, all those things. She wanted to make a change. She wanted to change. She was just tired of what was, and she wanted to make a shift. And she didn't have to visit all the shit to do it. She just made the decision, and she just had unwavering faith that spirit had her back no matter what. Even if that meant something terrible happened to her, she was willing to be committed to that vision of her aligned life. That's it. That's really it. And she had to shift her vibration a little bit higher to go do it, because she was in the world. She grew up in poverty and oppression and in a shitty situation, and there was no one around her pumping her up. There was no listening to podcasts to raise the vibe. There was no reason why she would have, any belief that she could do differently. And in fact, she had people telling her, oh no, God, no, don't do that. Don't start the Underground Railroad. Are you crazy? You can't do that. Who are you to do that? And she just was she just was at the point where she made the decision to shift. She couldn't have done it the day before. She couldn't have done it the week before. Everybody's on their own journey. I think this whole spiritual bypassing, gaslighting, shaming stuff just puts us in a place of fear of the process, even more so, even though it's supposed to warn you of people who are doing you wrong, which, let's freaking face it, no matter what industry, profession you're in, there are always people, there are always humans who are going to take it to an unhealthy level. Always. Look at Catholic priests, or sometimes even teachers, or any job out there. There are some who are totally committed and they're all in and they're following their purpose, or they're lit up and they're just, in alignment. And there are others who are not, who are just there for making the money, or they actually are super triggered by kids and they don't even want to be a teacher really, but they're learning the lesson, whatever that lesson is. And that means a lot of people sometimes have to go through some shit, right? Look, it's hard to look at our lives from up here. It really is. But it's really freeing. And I don't see it as bypassing. It's really freeing to kind of take the emotional charge out of the things that happen in our lives. And I don't mean don't feel. I'm just saying, really try to look at every situation, letting yourself feel the human emotions, because we have to, we're human, we do that. And then starting to look at here, what do I need to focus on? Where should my focus be? If I'm putting the law of attraction and manifestation into effect, it's not just about positive thinking and high vibes and no negativity. It's about, where am I putting my focus and my energy? You're manifesting every day. So if some coach is telling you you're not manifesting what you want because you're doing it wrong, bullshit, you're manifesting all the time. The question is, what are you manifesting? What are you manifesting? And do you want to manifest that? And then so if it's not what you want, then what do you need to do differently? It's not shaming you or blaming you. It's not your fault. You did whatever you had to do at the time in your consciousness, and that's perfect. You're right where you're supposed to be. I'm going to trust that with all my heart and soul. So if any coach or healer or anyone's telling you that, run the other way. Run the other way. But unfortunately, like I said, it's going to keep happening, like it is with any profession. There are going to be those who are going to steer you wrong, and that's the lessons that people have to learn. That's your soul contract. And God, like, it's hard to look at it like that. I know. Sometimes I'm like, why did you have me go through some of these things? And I didn't ask for that. But everything led to another, right? Everything fucking led to another. And it's amazing how that happens. But I don't know. But all I'm saying is this is nothing to fear. It's nothing to fear. And just appreciate where you're at. Just appreciate where you are, because it's perfect. Right where you are right now is perfect right you are. Nobody can tell you how to feel, what to feel, or when to feel it, or how much to feel it, or what your spiritual journey needs to look like, or what's wrong. Fuck, like, I just feel like we put so much of an emphasis on having to label things and call things out. And it's like, you know what? Just, it is what it just, not it is what it is, because I don't love that either, but it just is. Like, some things it just is. And if I choose to focus on spiritual bypassing, gaslighting, shaming, guess what I'm going to bring to me? It's true. Where we put our focus does matter. Think about it. Any change you've made, you know, when you change your focus, things shifted. Or when you chose to stay in the same story, things stayed the same and attracted the same relationships and situations over and over again. It's just like, it's not blaming, it just is. And isn't it empowering that you have the power to change it at any given moment? Even if you're feeling like shit today. And it's okay to feel like shit today. But what are you going to choose to focus on? What are you going to choose to put your focus on going forward? We're almost in a new year. I'm not going to go like into the New Year's resolutions and shit, because I think that's a whole other pressure that's ridiculous. But just really sending you all love and holding space. All we do as spiritual teachers, healers, and all these other things, and even as humans, is we're holding space for each other. That's the biggest gift we can give one another. We don't have to convince, we don't have to teach, we don't have to force, we don't have to do any of that shit. There's no one right way. There are no absolutes in spirit. There are no absolutes. You're on your own journey. You're going to do it your way. And when you're ready to go to that next level of consciousness, you will. Whether it's a certain person you listen to, a certain place you go, a certain whatever it is, or a certain crappy situation that happens, something always awakens us. Or maybe in this journey you've chosen to take in this incarnation, that's it. Like, maybe you're only getting to this, you're choosing to live in a certain place and at a certain level of consciousness, and that's it. And that's okay. Nobody says we have to get to, there is no prize. There is no big, like, there's no elite group. There's no nothing. Just, oh my gosh, just love and appreciate for who we are and what we're doing. And that's it. And don't worry, choose what you're going to focus on instead of worrying about all these labels. And honestly, like, sometimes I seriously think the spiritual gaslighting bypassing concept is a first world concept, first world privilege concept. I mean, I might even go as far to say first world white privilege concept, because there are plenty of examples of people who really just transcended their own situations and didn't have to go through the light and the dark and do all the shit and not worry about what manifesting even meant. Which means we're pretty fucking powerful as humans. Let's not forget. I'm not going to give any power to these phrases called spiritual bypassing, spiritual gaslighting, victim shaming, and blaming. I give no power to that, because the human spirit is the most powerful fucking energy in the world. So, and each one of us has that. When we choose to awaken to it, that's up to your journey. But I'm here for you. All I know is for me, I'm here for you. And, I'm here to support you in any way. There's no blaming or shaming up in here. There's no gaslighting. There's no bypassing. It's just really just having you just be in a place where we are feeling like you are in as much alignment as possible, or you're feeling like you are living a life that is authentic to you. You are on the journey and appreciated and loved and seen and heard for it. And that's cool. All right, I love you guys. That's all I'm going to say right now. I have to go pick up some kiddos, but you're all amazing. And for those of you who are asking about my upcoming 2020 program, it starts on 2/2/2020. It is called Intuitive AF, intuitive as fuck, and it's going to be a 2-month journey for people who really want to understand what is my intuition and what is just the voices in my head, my ego, and you want to understand how to read cards, you want to talk about pendulums, you want to talk about being an empath, you want to talk about connecting with your guides. You want to learn about how to read cards for yourself and for others. And then you want to be able to go out there with confidence and really just feel amazing as a light worker. Declare that you're a light worker. Doesn't matter what everyone else says. You're going to declare yourself as a light worker, and you're going to feel like you're so rock solid with your intuition that there's just no bullshit. That's going to be Intuitive AF. That starts 2/2/2020. So if you want to know more about that, comment. I will be talking more about it in the coming weeks. But yeah, right now we got early bird pricing, and pay in full, you get my Awakened Empath program free on top of that. It's another 2-month program all about empath. If you choose a payment plan, I got those. I got you. You don't worry. We're going to just rock this out in 2020. I want you light workers to light it up, to activate and feel like I know I can hear my inner voice. I can hear my higher self. I can feel my connection to my spirit guides. I can connect with my loved ones on the other side. I've got this. I can do this for myself and maybe for others if that's what you're led to do. All right. So I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. And by the way, if you want to talk about spiritual awakening, go over to my Awakened Empath group, because all of December, every Wednesday, we're going to be talking about spiritual awakening and the little stages of it. So you're not going crazy. I promise you. You're probably just going through some sort of an awakening, and buckle up. All right. Love you guys.